Hey guys, welcome back here to Intuitive Angling, and man, appreciate you guys checking out today's video and hanging out with me for a little bit. One of the things, guys, that I try to do on my channels here is, all three of my channels, is I try to call out injustices that go on within the fishing world, whether it be tournament or otherwise. Try to bring some light to it, because man, I've been doing this forever. I've been fishing tournaments since the late 1970s on every level that you can fish at. Been there, done that. I understand the politics of the sport. I understand the nuances of the sport, the tradition, everything about it. And I like to pass along that knowledge that I have about the sport to hopefully make it better, because we're in a pretty dark place right now in tournament bass fishing in general, and bass fishing a little bit, but tournament fishing, in my opinion, it's in the worst place it's ever been at, and I don't want to see it there. I love tournament fishing, guys, and I want to see it flourish and be a positive experience like it was back in the 80s and 90s, which it's not anymore. So what I want to do in today's video, I want to call out the tournament organizations for one thing that they have intentionally done to keep from the public. I mean, it's sort of a dirty little secret, I call it. So we're going to get into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, a couple quick housekeeping tips that you guys absolutely hate every day, I'm sure, but that's what keeps the channel. Guys, if I couldn't do these housekeeping tips with the way that YouTube has kicked all the creators in the balls from all their algorithm changes and their AI influence, I wouldn't even be doing the channel. But I just want to thank everybody that has subscribed here to the channel. I'd like to invite you to do that if you haven't. Everybody that's become a channel member or a Patreon member, or if you're using all the links I put in the video descriptions, thank you very much, because you guys are the reason the channel's on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody that's gone that extra effort to support the channel here. Okay, I'm gonna call this out here right off the bat in the video here. There is a huge unlevel playing field in the sport of tournament fishing that is created from income disparity in this country. We've talked about this before, but I want to go into it in a little bit different angle, a little bit deeper in today's video. This income disparity has effectively created the reality that professional bass fishing is an elitist sport, and tournament fishing in general on the higher level is a financially elitist sport. It hasn't always been like that, but it has turned into that through a series of events I want to sort of call out in today's video. Now, one of the things that separates tournament fishing, tournament bass fishing, from other sports is the fact that tournament bass fishing has never gained the place within the public recognition that it deserves. Because you've got a sport like bass fishing, guys, that has tens of millions of participants that spend billions of dollars a year on their sport. There's not another sport out there that has as many participants or spends as much money on fishing as bass anglers do. Yet bass anglers have never reached the level of notoriety as other sports like football, baseball, or whatever. A couple different reasons for that, but one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, that tournament organizations have inflicted upon themselves the problem is they created this unlevel playing field from money. Now, here is an example of what I'm talking about and how it's worse ever than it has been. It's always been like this to some extent. But tournament organizations they don't understand it, or they've never set equipment limitations as in an effort to level the playing field financially in the sport. Because let me give you an example how the reality of tournament fishing, and it's always been like this to some extent, not as bad as it is now. But in any given tournament on the top level, the top professional level, if you have qualified, back when I fished the top Bassmaster Top 100s or the FLW Tour or the Top 150s or now the Elite Series or the Bass Pro Tour, in order to get to that particular level, you have got to be a highly skilled angler. I mean, you are an elite, you're in the top 1% of the 1% of the world's bass anglers if you have reached that level through qualification. The problem with that is that skill that it takes to get there is sort of an illusion a little bit, because the influence that money has over other anglers. So in any given tournament that you have, I don't care what level it is, you may have one angler that is just scraping by with the barest of equipment. He may have a 25-year-old boat, an old two-stroke motor. He may have some really cheap electronics. He may have a bunch of old round, bait cast reels, guides broken out of his rods, might have a beat up pickup. And then you've got another guy that's got, $250,000 in his boat and truck, and he's got freaking, $50,000 worth of electronics. He stays in a $4,000 a week, Airbnb at the tournaments. He's got every lure that's available to man, and they're competing in the same event. Now, there's not another sport out there like that, because if you take baseball, golf, tennis, whatever you want to do, the equipment limitations have leveled the field there. You don't have any type of financial disparity in the NFL. You don't have any financial disparity in the NBA or Major League Baseball. Everybody there is all about the talent that they have. It's not about how much money they have for the equipment. And this fact that tournament organizations have failed the sport in the sense that they have not put equipment limitations in the tournaments to level the playing field. And this has always been a problem. And what it has done is, since the sport has gotten more expensive year after year after year, it has effectively turned the sport into an elitist activity right now. Now, there's a few exceptions of the rules. There's guys that, still live with their mom and dad and scrape by and whatever. But for the most part, tournament anglers at the top level are more fluent as far as the per capita income that they have than they've ever been before. And this is something that's not coincidence, because they've been forced into this position. It's like the industry, the tournament organizations, since they don't put equipment limitations on that, there's no type of guardrails for companies to develop more and more expensive equipment. You get more boats are over $100,000 now. You can pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for one depth finder. Back when I was fishing, full time, everybody had the same thing. They had a $150 flasher up front and a $150 flasher on the console, and that was it. Now you have one dude rolling in there with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of electronics, and somebody else has got junky stuff like that. This is what I'm talking about, that the tournament organizations have failed, and they want to keep that secret. They don't want the public to really know that there is this financial, there's this financial gulf that exists between tournament anglers that is just not right. It's a professional injustice in the sport. So what can you do about it? I mean, how is this going to, ever solve itself? And it's not until you get the right people in positions of power within the tournament organizations. It's never going to change with that. You know what? You guys hear me talking about it all the time. I have this fantasy, if I ever won $1 billion in the lottery, I'd buy Bassmaster and MLF. The first thing that I would do is I would put the strictest equipment limitation that's ever been placed on tournament fishing. You know what I would do if I owned the organizations? I would say, number one, you're limited to the longest boat that you can have. You cannot have a boat over 20 foot long. You cannot have an outboard engine over 150 horsepower. That's it. You're allowed one two-dimensional sonar and GPS unit, combined one unit on your console. You're allowed one two-dimensional sonar unit GPS up front. That's all you're allowed with it. Everything around there and all the other equipment, you're allowed to have 6 rod and reels in the boat. You're allowed to have 3 tackle boxes, an equipment limitation that levels the playing field. Now, I'm not saying that still can add up to some significant money, because you can still, drop $50,000 or $60,000 on a boat like that, but it basically cuts the cost of tournament fishing in half or less. It's not perfect, but it helps level the playing field. And that's the only way that this sport is going to gain any legitimacy right now, because right now it's just a dang Wild West free-for-all. We don't have the regulations and safeguards in the sport to create that type of environment for everybody that showcases everybody's fishing skill. This sport should be about showcasing talent and skill, and that talent and skill does not exist within electronic technology. I don't care what you say, guys. If you've made a check, if you've won a tournament with forward-facing sonar, don't pat yourself on the back, because that doesn't mean nothing. That means you can decipher blips on a screen. And I'm not saying that it doesn't take a little bit of skill to catch those blips, but you wouldn't even known those fish were there without that technology. A real bass angler fishes to find the fish. And once you do fish to find the fish and you understand the nuances of moods and personalities of the bass, then you become an artist within the sport. It's a skill-based activity. And we don't have that right now. We have people that have crutches. They have electronic crutches. They have financial crutches. And it's not right. It's not right for us to have transcended the sport into an ever-increasing class of anglers that have no sense of financial stress or fear within it, because a lot of these anglers now, they've got a lot of family money, whether it be trust fund, they got a business, they don't have to do any good in tournaments. They don't need sponsors. They don't have to worry about where their entry fee's coming from. And then you have a handful of other anglers that's all they think about. And when you've got one angler, and I've seen this my whole career, guys, there are some of the top level pros that they're household names that come from very wealthy families, and they have had zero financial distraction. And then other anglers like myself and some of the guys that have been around for a long time, that's all we think about. You're thinking about where your next entry fee is going to come from. You're thinking about, if you lose your sponsor, are you going to be able to pay for this or that? It's always on your mind. So it is not fair in tournament bass fishing for one person to have zero financial distraction and somebody else to have just a massive load of financial distraction. You don't have that in any other sport. If you play in the NFL, that doesn't exist. If you bowl in the PBA Tour, that doesn't exist. If you're a professional soccer player, that doesn't exist. It only exists in professional bass fishing, and it has been created by the tournament organizations, that they have not put a rein on this. So this is one thing that they don't want to talk about. They don't want anyone to bring it up or bring it to their attention, but it's something that has irritated me my whole career. It's not right. It's not fair. It's an easy fix, but nobody has had the morals and ethics to do it, because it's fundamentally, it's not right. I mean, there is a bunch of guys in this country that you have never heard of that are better than 99% of the guys that are fishing professionally. They just don't have the financial safety net to try it. They have the skill, they have the awareness, they have the art form, but they just don't, they can't make that leap because it's too big of a financial risk. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about it. I just wanted to get that off my chest today. Hope you're well. Talk later.